Welcome to 2K Sports.
Every year, the NBA 2K series and most other sports sims with yearly releases can be approached with the same old questions. What has actually changed this time around? Is Visual Concepts' new NBA 2K worth the hype? Or is it just a roster update with a jersey swap? It's probably the same set of questions running through the minds of NBA fandoms at the beginning of every new season. Luckily for fans, NBA 2K25, unlike the Lakers, which looks headed for another year of disappointment, is a lot like this half-court toss and make. Despite the ever-growing shadow of franchise fatigue looming over it, NBA 2K25 for the most part is a bucket. Actually, it's more like a finger roll layup where the ball dances around the rim before finally finding its way through the hoop. It's not a thunder or slam dunk, but we like it nonetheless. Right from the tip-off, NBA 2K25 makes a strong impression with its authenticity. Visual Concepts didn't just focus on the little things, they went big. Literally, the court feels bigger this year. That's right, 2K finally listened to the fans and tweaked the player-to-court ratio. Passing lanes that were once clogged are now gaping holes begging for a no-look time. And with all that extra space, you can pull off those ankle-breaking crossovers and posterizing dunks a la Ja Morant. This ain't just a minor tweak, it's a game-changer that makes NBA 2K25 feel more like a real NBA broadcast than ever before. It's not just a court that got a glow-up. Visual Concepts went to town on the player models this year, and they look even better in the game's built-in photo mode, which you should absolutely try. Seriously, some of these guys look like they're about to jump out of your screen and posterize you in your living room. And it's not just the established superstars and up-and-coming talent. Even the rookies who haven't played a single meaningful minute of NBA basketball look like the real deal. Take Bronny James Jr., eldest son of ageless LA Lakers All-NBA forward LeBron James Sr., for example. The developers absolutely nailed his look. It's like they scanned him straight out of a Lakers photo shoot. And let's be real, seeing him rock the purple and gold alongside his dad in 2K is going to be an absolute trip.
James throws it down!
And talk about bloodlines. Bronny James impacting the outcome of this game.
The WNBA and its historic rookie class of 2024 also got some big love in terms of having the players look and act like their real-life counterparts. Come on, you can't tell us this isn't recently named WNBA Rookie of the Year Caitlin Clark training a deep three, or this isn't Angel Reese. Of course, the attention to detail extends to the presentation as well. For years, NBA 2K has set the gold standard for replicating the feel of a real NBA broadcast, and this year is no exception. From the slick visuals to the insightful commentary, everything about 2K25 screams authenticity. It's hard to imagine how they could improve on this already stellar production. The commentary, for instance, is more than just play-by-play. It's dynamic, insightful, and packed with personality. Kevin Harlan's legendary calls are back, of course, but he's joined by a rotating cast of analysts who provide expert analysis and color commentary. They don't just describe the action, they react to it, just like real commentators would. They'll debate controversial calls, analyze player tendencies, and even delve into the history behind specific matchups.
Yeah, well, his offensive contributions are going to be very important in this game.
The addition of new voices, including those of insider Shams Charania and coach-turned-broadcaster Stan Van Gundy, make the matches feel more authentic. It's a shame that Sir Charles hasn't found his way into the game, though that hardly matters, as the halftime show in NBA 2K25 with Ernie, Kenny, and Shaq won't even be a thing this season with TNT losing its television rights. But enough about the presentation. How does a game actually play? In a word, smooth. Just like Kyrie's handles or Ant's layup package. Honestly, this feels like the best iteration of NBA 2K we've ever gotten our hands on. And a lot of it has to do with the revamped animations and that oh-so-sweet new dribble engine. Visual Concepts introduced a whole new level of fluidity with its ProPlay technology, using real NBA footage to create animations that are so lifelike you'll swear you're watching a real game. Check out these animations as you dribble the ball down the court. Notice how certain players like LeBron James or Caitlin Clark handle the rock differently than others. These subtle nuances really elevate NBA 2K25 to an unprecedented level of realism. Meanwhile, the introduction of go-to moves is a fantastic addition that really leans into the game's focus on realistic player movement. Being able to replicate the signature moves of the league's most iconic stars from past and present, like Dirk Nowitzki's one-legged fadeaway jumper or Steph Curry's lightning quick step back, adds another layer of authenticity to the gameplay. We've definitely found ourselves relying on and perhaps even abusing these moves when a play breaks down or the clock runs out. It's hard to resist using KD's signature hezzy pull-up when it practically guarantees you an open look almost every time. Our only issue with this newly added system is that it's hampered by a lack of depth. Each star having only one or two signature moves and post-move options limited to only a handful of players feels limiting and undercuts the potential of this otherwise excellent addition. It's quite unfortunate that such a dominant and skilled post player like Joel Embiid is limited to just a fadeaway in the go-to move system, while someone like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has his unstoppable skyhook in his arsenal. Hopefully, the developers are taking note and we'll see a much more diverse set of moves for him and other post players next year. But defense matters too, right? Thankfully, Visual Concepts didn't forget about that side of the ball. The overall defensive intensity has increased and the game even added a cool new move where you can cut off a driving player with just a flick of the stick. But here's the thing, sometimes playing D feels like a little clunky, like your player is skating on ice instead of running on the court. And while the AI has improved in some areas, it still lacks the nuanced decision-making of real players. It will correctly double team and dominant force in the paint, but its awareness on the perimeter needs work. Too often it gets caught ball watching or failing to close out on shooters. Adding more realistic behaviors like challenging calls or rotating defensively in switches would go a long way toward creating a truly authentic experience. If you're new to NBA 2K, don't worry. NBA 2K25 has a nice tutorial mode called Learn 2K. It's super easy to follow and teaches you everything you need to know from the basics to those fancy new ProPlay moves. It even has guides from MyTeam and the city, which is awesome because these modes can be a bit confusing at first. Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the new shot meter. The one that's got the community buzzing online and maybe even a little frustrated. Look, we get it. Change can be tough, especially when it comes to something as crucial as timing your shots. It took us a while to get used to it too. But here's a pro tip we got from sinking some serious hours into the game. Release a button the exact moment the meter vanishes. Master that timing and you'll be training threes like Steph Curry in no time. And yes, you'll still receive a small bonus for playing with the shot meter turned off. There's also this interesting wrinkle to the new shot mechanics called rhythm shooting, and it's a whole new different way to shoot hoops in 2K25. Basically, instead of simply pressing and releasing the shot button or stick, you first pull the shot stick down to start the shot. Then as you see your player's jump shot animation reach its set point, you push the shot stick up and try to match the timing and speed of the player's push motion. Honestly, at first we were like, nah, this is pointless. We've been shooting the same way for years, why change now? But after messing around with it for a bit, we actually started to dig it. It's way more forgiving if you don't time your shot perfectly and you can easily go right into a dribble move after faking a shot. Pretty cool. Now for some bad news. All the cool stuff we've raved about so far, the ProPlay, the go-to moves, the insane graphics, and even more we haven't mentioned like MyGM and the City, is all exclusive to the PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC. There's also no crossplay for PC gamers. After messing around with the new shot mechanics in the Learn 2K tutorial, we were hyped to jump into NBA 2K25 and check out the rest of what it had to offer. First up, the MyNBA mode and the new Steph era in the MyNBA eras. It's kind of weird that the Steph era starts in 2016 though, which is like 2 years after the Golden State Warriors won their first championship. Not to mention, Andre Iguodala, the 4-time champ and NBA Finals MVP in 2015, is missing from 2K25's official roster, along with some other notable omissions like John Wall and Blake Griffin. But hey, we're not complaining about more Chef Curry. Even if the 2010s feel a bit crowded with the LeBron era already there, it's awesome to see 2K giving the NBA's greatest three-point shooter and the Warriors dynasty some love. And while my NBA might not be drastically different this year, it's an absolute blast to play. Ever wonder what would happen if Michael Jordan landed in Houston instead of Chicago? Or how about seeing Adam Silver suit up alongside LeBron and AD? MyNBA in NBA 2K25 lets you explore those wild scenarios and rewrite basketball history. Take full control of the league, build a dynasty across eras, and create the ultimate dream team with past and present players, even those who never stepped foot on the hardcourt. It's the ultimate NBA power trip.
That was a big-time rejection.
Impressively, NBA 2K25 manages to capture the exciting momentum of the WNBA as well. My WNBA is like my NBA for the Women's League, while the W mode, akin to the men's MyCareer mode, reflects the league's growing prominence, with detailed player models, authentic arenas, and engaging storylines. Chasing greatness in the W is a testament to the league's rich history and its bright future. While it's disappointing that WNBA players can't yet explore the city, the game's always online social space, the dedication to expanding the W is evident. It's a sign that 2K recognizes the importance of women's basketball and is committed to providing a comprehensive and authentic experience for all basketball fans.
When I think about where I've come from and where I want to go, man, I think about Becky Hammon.
The biggest draw for us is NBA 2K25's interconnected trio of MyPlayer, MyCareer, and the City. MyPlayer lets you craft your own baller, either picking from preset RPG-like builds or meticulously tweaking individual stats like dunking, passing, and three-point shooting. You can even put your face on your player using the constantly improving MyNBA 2K companion app for Android and iOS devices, something we now do every year with satisfying results. It used to be kind of wonky, but now it actually looks pretty decent. This is my partner Ramon Lopez, by the way, and he insists on putting his face in the game despite my efforts to talk him out of it. You tell us if this guy looks anything like him. Once you've created your MyPlayer, it's time to hit the court in MyCareer. You'll start out in high school, play in a FIBA World Cup game, and eventually get drafted into the NBA at the end of the year single-player campaign called Heart of a Dynasty. And guess what? No more sitting through endless boring cutscenes and awful dialogue. This time around, Visual Concepts has cut the story aspect of MyCareer down to just 4 flashback games, so you can get straight to the action. It's also refreshing to see some changes to MyCareer's focus in NBA 2K25. Now, it's not just about becoming the GOAT, it's about building a whole dynasty. Think about rivaling legendary teams like the Showtime Lakers or Steph Curry's Warriors. And the cool thing is, MyCareer isn't just a boring intro to the rest of the game. It's actually super fun to play through multiple seasons, win championships, and rack up awards. The game makes it feel like a big deal, With social media going crazy, reporters hounding you and sending you messages, and even other players hitting you up to say congrats.
Now you gotta add my name to the list. And I'm just getting started.
But regardless of how many championships you win, how many accolades you collect, or how many records you break in MyCareer, all roads will eventually lead to the city. Think of it as an online playground for basketball fanatics, a sprawling sports MMO where you can tackle daily and weekly challenges, dive into various game modes, and indulge in some virtual shopping. It's a vibrant social space in the heart of the 2K community. However, the demanding time commitment required for those daily and weekly challenges is a drawback. Unlike other live service games where dailies take under an hour to complete, 2K25s are significantly longer, making it difficult to keep up without sacrificing the game's other modes. Despite this, the city is an incredible playground. Its diverse offerings include casual 3v3 street games against CPU opponents, stat-boosting gym sessions, and competitive Pro-Am matches with your online buddies. No other sports title comes close to replicating this dynamic social environment. Visual Concepts has even thrown go-kart racing into the mix of activities you can sink your teeth and wallets into. This year's city also addresses a previous complaint: the overwhelming presence of in-your-face advertising. By reimagining the setting as a relatively smaller beach boardwalk, the abundance of shoe stores, clothing shops, and courts feels more natural and less intrusive. It's a clever design choice that effectively reduces the feeling of being bombarded with microtransaction opportunities. Still, NBA 2K25, like its predecessors, makes it really tempting to crack open your digital wallet and start throwing money at the screen. See, your MyPlayer starts out weaker than a newborn giraffe, and the fastest way to pump those stats up is by spending VC, the in-game currency that the game just loves to dangle in front of your face. Problem is, everyone else is doing the same thing. If we miss out on launch week, as we did, finding players with reasonable ratings to play with in the city is like searching for a sober person at a college party. It's practically impossible. This creates this weird, unspoken pressure to spend money just to keep up. Imagine joining a pickup game where everyone else is basically throwing down windmill dunks and step-back threes from the parking lot. Not exactly a fair fight, is it? And it's not just about bragging rights, it actually messes with the gameplay. So, unless you're ready to drop hundreds of dollars to buy your way to the top, you're gonna have to grind. You can earn VC by playing MyCareer, MyNBA, and MyTeam, but that takes a lot of time. Like, a lot of time. It's kind of a bummer because the city has so much potential, but it can feel like a pay-to-win situation sometimes. Luckily, there are workarounds. If you're not afraid of a little hustle, you can find tons of videos on YouTube showing you the quickest ways to farm VC. Just be prepared to put in some work, because even with the best farming methods, it's going to take some time and effort to build up a substantial amount of VC. But hey, at least you're not spending real money, right? MyTeam mode returns, notably featuring the reintroduction of the auction house. This key addition allows you to get decent cards using the most in-game currency, MyTeam points, earned through gameplay, which means spending additional hard-earned cash to upgrade your roster won't be necessary at all for casual players. The core gameplay loop remains the same, but it's still a lot of fun. You open packs, assemble your dream teams of NBA stars past and present, and compete in online and single-player matches. However, the auction house provides a strategic layer to team building, enabling you to actively participate in a player market. This creates a more level playing field as shown by our ability to construct a formidable starting lineup featuring Luka Doncic, Anthony Edwards, and Michael Jordan without resorting to real-world purchases. Now let's talk about MyGM, which turned out to be a disappointment. It's supposed to be this RPG-infused management sim, but it ends up feeling more like a minigame with an identity crisis. You start by creating your GM, who conveniently looks exactly like your MyPlayer. Then you pick from 6 backstories, each with different quirks and perks. We went with the X-Player option because we thought it would be cool to be that link between the locker room and the front office. You know, the guy who's been there, done that, and can see things from both sides. But here's where things get wonky. The RPG elements feel forced and unnatural, like they're just there to serve as a way of handing out in-season tasks. The dialogue is stiff, the interactions are awkward, and the whole thing feels like it was written by someone who's never had actual interactions with other human beings. Case in point, our first conversation with the team governor. This guy immediately tells us to trade away our assets for a top draft pick. Since we were playing the Lakers, that basically means he wanted to trade away Austin Reeves plus some developing players in draft capital, which we don't really have, by the way. Anthony Davis or LeBron James. Honestly, it was kind of hilarious. What made it even funnier was a conversation we had with LeBron James, who hinted that he wanted to be traded to a contender. So we guess we were just doing him a favor. Anyway, after that bizarre encounter, we went exploring the MyGM building, intended to be a dynamic hub for managing your franchise. This didn't take long, unfortunately. Empty rooms, expensive furniture you can't interact with, and NPCs who stare blankly into the void. It's supposed to be this bustling headquarters of a multi-billion sports team, but it feels more like a deserted office after everyone's gone home for the day. The worst part? You can only interact with a handful of NPCs, and even then, only when they have an exclamation point over their head. The rest of the time, they just ignore you like you're not even there. If you're a casual player who just wants to buy the game so you can have something to play with your cousins or friends when they come over, there's a Play Now option, which includes Blacktop. This allows you to play pickup games with the players of your choice, from 1-on-1 matchups all the way up to full-court 5-on-5 games. Those 5v5 matches can be a little wild though, especially with the game's interesting fashion choices for some players. Half the time, we're squinting at the screen trying to figure out who's who in the midst of all the colors and questionable accessories. That said, while Play Now might be a decent option for some, it's not exactly our jam. So after all that ranting and raving, here's the bottom line. Should you buy NBA 2K25? For most people, the answer is probably yes. Especially if you're a die-hard basketball fan. This game, like the chance to see Bronny and LeBron connect on an alley-oop play, is simply hard to pass up. If you're lucky enough to be playing on a PS5 or Xbox Series console, 2K25's many meaningful improvements and a more enjoyable city experience make it worth the upgrade. If you're playing on PC, this year's version is a significant step up from the PC port of 2K24. With graphics and mod support, you might even have the best looking version of the game. However, if you're still rocking a last-gen console, you might want to hold off, especially if you already own the previous release. Don't get us wrong, the microtransactions and VC grind are still as annoying as ever. But here's the silver lining. It doesn't always feel like a necessity this year, especially in MyTeam, where Visual Concepts has finally brought back the auction house. NBA 2K25, with its mix of spectacular plays, jaw-dropping moments, and occasional head-scratching decisions, truly mirrors the real-life NBA experience. You've got those wow moments, the thunderous jams, the buzzer beaters, the ankle-breaking crossovers. And then you've got those questionable calls and outcomes that leave you scratching your head. But just like in real life, that's part of the charm, right? We keep coming back for more, even with the occasional frustration, because when it's good, it's really good. And this year, It's good. Really good. This might be the best NBA 2K game in a long time, and we can't wait to keep playing the game once the NBA season officially tips off.
When he's this hot, the green light is so bright.